I am thrilled to have you here. It snuck up on me that this is Palm Sunday. It really snuck up on me. I had no idea. Easter wasn't even it wasn't even in my head. And yesterday morning I thought, oh crap, it's Palm Sunday. I better get on this stick here. So it is Palm Sunday, and this is an important time. This week is an important week. Um, if you are new to Unity, I want to tell you there are 2 times of the year that we really work on understanding these stories that are the foundation makers for Unity, and those two are, of course, Christmas and Easter. There are stories that we use from the Bible and from other sacred texts all during the year, but specific to these times of year, it's really important for us to reframe these stories, to understand them from a metaphysical point of view, because they really have to do with our own transformation. And if you have not been with us through Easter or Christmas, I think that you will enjoy this opportunity to reframe these stories in a way that helps you understand that they have a much deeper meaning than what most of us were taught in our traditional upbringings. So this week, all throughout the week, I will be sending you an email, an e-blast every day. And every day I'll be telling you a little bit of the Easter story. And every day I'll be inviting you to look at the metaphysical meanings of each incident that happened, and asking you questions that you can do some journaling about, or perhaps if you have someone in your house and you want to have a discussion with them, or you want to call a friend and have a discussion, you can do that as well. But this is quite a transformative opportunity. And in my mind, where we are this week and what we're all going through provides a depth of focus on this process that is intensified. And I think we have an opportunity to do some really deep soul work. So I want to invite you into that. I want to say to you, for me, and those of you who've been around for a while know this to be true of me, I don't care whether you think the biblical stories are historically and liturgically correct, or if you think they're Christian mythology, or you fall somewhere in between those 2 points. That is not my job to determine for you. Your job is to determine those things. My job is to help you have deeper meaning for these stories. There's a reason that they have stayed so prevalent in our society. And for me, I believe that that reason has to do with our personal growth and our opportunity to really understand our own divinity. And so this week in particular challenges us to settle into the journey from not knowing who we are and then becoming who we really are. And so I invite you to journey with me through the week, to do the reading and to do the journaling or have the discussions, and allow this to be a very special and transformative week for you. Each week when we gather, we remember that we see God from many different perspectives. We might call God source or spirit or love or the holy or the universe. There are lots of different ways that we refer to God. There are lots of different ways that we understand God. We understand God as the infinite that we call to wrap arms around us when we're struggling. We understand God as he, she, it, as the sacred, intimate, the beloved that we communicate with. And then we understand God through a very Unity perspective, which is the great pursuit for us at Unity, that we find the indwelling divine, that we understand that we are the living, moving expression of the divine. So we're going to open this morning with a song that reflects that, and we sing this song as a way of honoring each other wherever we are and in whatever place we experience the holy.
Love, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you, a sanctuary for you.
So let's prepare for meditation. And I will ask Connie to take us through the three faces of God, and then we'll settle into a quiet time together.
Infinite God, in whom we live and move and have our being. Intimate God, you are always with me. Indwelling God, I am a light in this world. I am a light in this world. I am the light. I am the light of the world. I am the light of the world. We are the light of the world. Amen.
If you haven't already done so, I invite you to close your eyes, to settle into this sacred moment, knowing there is nothing that needs doing right now. I invite you to give yourself this sacred moment, this holy time, to be still and at peace, to simply be and allow. In the stillness of this moment, you may notice sounds you weren't hearing before. You may feel yourself in a different place from the inside out. You may notice something about yourself, a certain light that you hadn't noticed only a few moments before. That holiness you are, it is you. It isn't just something that moves as you. It's who you are and how you are and what you do and all that you think. All of that connects you to the divine. In this moment, know that you are holy, that the journey that we take this week invites you to transform. that what is transformed is your understanding of who you really are, one with the divine. And so it is.
When the music fades into the past, when my days of life are through, what will be remembered of where I've come when all is said and done? Will they say I loved my family, that I was a faithful friend, that I lived to share a heart of love, when all is said and done? How I long to see the hour when I hear that trumpet sound, and rise to see my own true face, and smile and say, well done. You can forget my name and the songs I sung, every rhyme and every tune, but remember the love we shared as one, when all is said and done. When all is said and done.
I am thrilled to be here with you on this Palm Sunday. As I was saying earlier, it kind of got the better of me. I had just about missed that it was Palm Sunday. Sometimes Easter falls in March and it sneaks up on me, but this year it really came out of the blue. And Palm Sunday is actually one of my favorite Sundays to talk. I love being able to talk on Palm Sunday because it's my favorite face of Jesus. It's Jesus the rebel. And there's a part of Jesus the rebel that sings to my soul. So you guys have heard this story of Palm Sunday in the past, and you probably think that you know this story. And I'm going to ask you to set down any knowledge that you have of this story. I'm going to ask you to just pretend that you have never heard it before and to listen to it with new ears this morning. I'm going to invite you to consider what was happening on Palm Sunday. So, Palm Sunday happened during the Jewish Passover celebration. And at Passover, all of the Jewish community came together. Great many traveled to their home areas and to areas of great celebration. So in Jerusalem, where this story takes place, it was full of pilgrims, people who had come to the temple, who were coming in to celebrate their freedom from Egypt. This is an important part of the story because the Romans were in charge at that time. They were ruling the lands. And so for the Jews to come together to celebrate having triumphed over Egypt was not a big deal, but they wanted to make sure that that feeling of triumph didn't inspire them to try and overthrow the Romans. So on this day, the day that Jesus paraded in from one side of the city, he was parading in opposition of another parade, a huge parade led by Pontius Pilate that was Roman guards and big banners and horses decked out, and was designed to show the power of the Roman guard. So the parade that Jesus held, the coming into Jerusalem as he did, was meant to be completely the opposite. Where the Romans came in to show their power and their might and their force and their guards and their weapons, Jesus came in from the other side of town, showing none of that. So that morning he told two of his disciples, go into town and you'll find a place where there is a donkey and a colt. Bring them to me. If anybody asks, tell them the Lord needs them and bring them to me. So this is an important part of the story. It's a really important part of the story because there's in theological circles, there's a lot of question about this colt and this donkey. In the book of Matthew, it goes on to say that a cloak was thrown over both of them and Jesus rode them into town. One of the things that's interesting about the Palm Sunday story is that it appears in all four Gospels, and that's unusual. There are a lot of stories that appear in one or the other. Even the stories of Christ's birth appear very differently. But this story appears in all four Gospels with very few parts of it that are different. This is one part that is different. In the book of Matthew, he's specific about it being a donkey and a colt. So I spent a lot of time researching that this week, trying to figure out how come both and how would you ride both and why would you ride both. And the best idea that came before me was the idea that this is not a colt like we think of a colt. This is a baby donkey. This is this donkey that was ridden in by Jesus was a mother, was still nursing her young, and that Jesus came in on a donkey with a colt next to him, which is about as opposite as you could possibly get from the Roman guard coming in on their big fancy steeds with their giant armor and all of their regalia. This is a very humble ride, very humble way to enter. And so he entered to a parade of people who were waving palm branches, because at that time, palm branches meant victory. The next part of the story that was interesting to me is that people took off their cloaks and put them on the ground. And the Bible mentions their cloaks and their garments laid on the ground. And so I had to think about why? Why would you take off your garment and throw it on the ground so that it could be walked on by a donkey? One of the things that I found that really was interesting me was the supposition that what they were taking off was not just any garment, that what they were taking off is called a talit. And a talit is a Jewish prayer shawl. So this was something very precious to them that they were laying on the ground. And again, in opposition to what happened with the Roman Guard, because the Roman Guard, when they would have a parade for the gods, or they would have a conquering general return in town, would put very expensive, fine fabric on the road so that that guard or that procession could cross on that very expensive fabric. So for the Jews at that time to take off their talits and to lay them on the path before Jesus walking in was a very big statement about welcoming the God that they saw him to be, welcoming the new king, welcoming the military victor who was coming into town. It speaks to the symbology of that time, and again to the opposition of what was happening with the Roman Guard. And so when Jesus came in, they were shouting, Hosanna. Hosanna in Aramaic means to rescue or to save. And of course, that's been used a lot in the story of a Messiah, someone who would come to save the people. But it also speaks to where the people were at that time, that they were very desperate to be saved, very desperate for someone to come in who had an answer to the Roman guards, someone who could bring them out of this place of persecution. So when Jesus came in, he came in very humbly, and he rode through the crowds yelling at him to save him, save him. These were the same people who later on in the day would ask that he be crucified. And we kind of miss that. We miss that the crowd followed Jesus to the temple, that the crowd, that same crowd, was frightened by what he did next. So what he did next was he went to the temple. And remember, this is a time of great celebration for the Jewish people. And he's going to the Jewish temple. And in the temple, the temple leaders have now made an alliance with the Roman Guard. And so they're making money. And they're making money by selling sacrificial animals that can be used to sacrifice to the Roman gods. They're making money by allowing trade to go on in this sacred holy place. So I invite you to think about what that might feel like for you. If you walked in and there were animals walking through our sacred space, were people trying to sell. It had become a center of commerce rather than a center of holiness. And so what Jesus does is he grabs what he can find and he makes a whip, and he runs all of the animals out of the temple. And he says, this is a place of prayer, and you have made it a den of thieves. This is a place of prayer, and you have made it a den of thieves. And so he overturns tables and he runs everyone out. And now the Jewish people are afraid because their king, their Messiah, has turned against their temple. He's not fighting the Roman Guard on the other side of town. He has gone into their temple to say what's happening here is wrong. And now they're afraid. Now they're afraid because they can see that this person is angry and rebellious, and he might turn the guard against them, that the place that they felt the safest is no longer safe. So we're going to stop our story there. This is a really important thing. This whole story is really important when we think about our personal transformation and what Charles and Myrtle did, Charles and specifically. And Charles and Myrtle, if you're just listening, are the founders of the Unity Movement. What they did that is so brilliant is that they took these kinds of stories and they reinterpreted them as though they were allegorical. And an allegory is just something with a deeper meaning. It's a story told with a deeper meaning. So what Unity does with this story is it says, okay, that's the surface of what the story says. What is the deeper meaning and why is this story important to me? So when we look at this story and we ask ourselves, why is this story important to me? We have to figure out where we are in the story and what the different symbols represent. So I'm going to roll us back to the beginning, back to the place where Jesus is coming into town. And he's coming in that most humble way. Chris, we have somebody's mic on. Can you please catch that for me? He is coming in the most sacred way, in the most peaceful way he can come. And he is coming quietly in on, will you guys all check your mics, please? He's coming in quietly on a donkey with a small colt next to him, a little baby donkey next to him. He's coming in quietly and people are yelling at him. That Jesus who is coming into town, that is you on this journey. You are the divine idea. You are the holy idea in the mind of God. And that Jesus represents your journey, the beginning of your journey, coming to this journey very quietly. It's good not to cough in your ear. So Jesus is coming into town in this very peaceful way, and a donkey is seen as a representation of peace. So this is you beginning your journey in a peaceful way. And while you're beginning your journey in a peaceful way, that whole crowd that's yelling at you represents all of the crazy thoughts in your mind, all of the things that pop in to interrupt your peace, all of the things that say, hey, come on, you got to save me. We have to do something here. You can't just sit around and be peaceful all day. We're in the middle of something big. You have to do something now. You are the savior. You are the one. Let's do something. And so we continue through all of those crazy thoughts in our head. We continue to ride forward in a peaceful way, remembering humbly that it's not ours to fix everything. It's ours to walk this path. It's ours to faithfully walk this path. Walking towards Jerusalem, walking towards this place that is now a place of celebration, a place of conflict, a place of tumultuous activity, and yet a place where power is the struggle, isn't it? In Jerusalem at that time, there's a struggle for power going on. So as you're moving in and you are considering who you are and what you are and where you are, everyone is waving palms, which at the time were a sign of victory. So there is something victorious happening for you. You are moving in a victorious way. And I want to invite you to think about what that victory must be. And knowing what we know about the end of this story, the victory that we're pursuing has to be our moving toward that next place in life, that place where we truly are transformed, where we truly know who we are and what we are. So as we move toward the temple, and we go into this temple where everything is wrong, we're moving into that space in our mind where things are not exactly as they're supposed to be. And we have to do some chasing out, don't we? We have to chase out some thoughts and some ideas that get in the way of us being who we really are. So this week, you're going to have an opportunity to reflect on what thoughts are playing in your mind, what ideas live there that don't serve you. And you're going to have an opportunity to release some of those things. And you may have to you may have to chase them out of your head to be able to come to a different place, to be able to return yourself to the sacred temple you are, to bring yourself to a holy place again. And I just want you to think about this journey as we go through all the things that you know about the stories that surround Easter. When Jesus went through this, and this growing up was always one of the great conflicts for me, that if Jesus is God, if Jesus is the expression, the living divine idea, if Jesus is God, why didn't he just stop everything? Why didn't all of this just stop? And it's a question we have to ask ourselves, isn't it? If we are God expressing, if we are the hands and the heart and the moving spirit of God, why can't we just push all of the bad thoughts, all of the muck out of us and just be who we really are? Why can't we do that? This story starts out as a story of a provocation, doesn't it? The Roman guards are coming in one way, and Jesus is coming in as opposite as he possibly could on the other side. How many times have you felt inside of yourself those two parts of yourself? The part that says, I got to be strong and powerful and make the world a different place. I have to be in control, which is what the Romans represent. And how many times have you thought to yourself, if I could just surrender into my softest place, if I could just be in my heart, I could just be my softest self, that's where I really find divine love. That's the part of the story that Jesus represents. For this story to work for us, Jesus cannot be represented as fighting force against force, because that doesn't work in our soul. We don't come to our holy heart by fighting. We come to our holy heart by surrendering into sacred love, into deep and powerful love. And you're going to see as we go through this story that the story shows us over and over Jesus choosing love over battle, over and over and over and over. We are told that to become our most divine self, we have to step into the softness of who we are. And that when we do, that softness takes us to a greater power than we can even imagine. That we rise up from our battle, from our need to control, into a surrender that takes us to the heart of the holy. And then that is the light that shines forth from us. So this is a powerful week. It's a powerful week, and I want you to take the time to notice where you're battling yourself. And each time you want to be tough and take control of the world, and you will, each time you want to be in control, I want you to step back a minute and ask yourself first, is control even possible? Is it real, or is it just what you're telling yourself? Because during a time like the time that we're in right now, control is not, we can't control what's happening, can we? So how can we step back out of control and into such great love, such great power, that we find the truth of our own divine hearts? That's what we're going to explore this week. That's what we're all about. I have some quotes to share with you, and I know I can pull these up on the screen. So give me 1 minute. And there they are. So as you think about surrendering into the divine heart, I offer you these words this week. Lao Tzu said, to the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. This was written by an anonymous writer. It says, if you surrender to the wind, you can ride it. If you surrender to the wind, you can ride it. I love that. It brings up such visuals for me. Ram Dass said, the heart surrenders everything to the moment. The mind judges and holds back. The heart surrenders everything to the moment. The mind judges and holds back. And finally, these are words from Neil Donald Walsh. The moment you surrender to love and allow it to lead you to exactly where your soul wants to go, you will have no difficulty. The moment you surrender to love and allow it to lead you exactly where your soul wants to go, you will have no difficulty.
I want a heart that forgives, a heart full of love, one with compassion that rises above, one that overcomes hatred with goodness and love, like it never happened, never holding a grudge. I want a heart that forgives, that lives and lets live, one that keeps loving over and over again, one that men can't defend because light shines within, one that loves without price, revealing the Christ. I want a heart that loves everybody, even myself. I want to live like, be like, forgive like love does. I want a heart that forgives. I want a heart that forgives when the ones that are closest, that I've known the longest, hurt me the most. I still want to love them just as they are, even though I'm hurting. I want a heart that forgives when the pain is so deep and it's so hard to speak about it to anyone. Rather than run, I give up my right to hold it against them with hatred inside. I want a heart that loves everybody, even myself. I want to live like, be like, forgive like love does, walk like, talk like, just like love does, be like, live like, shine just like love does. Because the heart that forgives is the heart that will live, totally free from the pain of the past. And the heart that lets go is the heart that will know so much freedom. Oh, it's time to let it go. Yes, it's time to let it go. I want a heart that forgives.
Thank you, Connie. So, technical difficulties. Such an interesting thing working in this medium, and also was really helpful getting your surveys this week and seeing 93% of the people respond, talk about how really important this service is to them. So I'm really happy that we're able to do this. It is not without challenges, as you can see. And the past few weeks have not been without challenges. Most of you have probably read by now that our church was vandalized this week. We are able to go in with an insurance adjuster tomorrow, and they'll take a look. And then once that's done, we'll be able to start the cleanup this week, which will we'll know more about. Several of you wrote to see if you could volunteer to help clean. I'll know more after I meet with the adjuster tomorrow, because one of the things that happened is that they sprayed a fire extinguisher across the building, and it depends on what kind of fire extinguisher it is according to the insurance adjuster. If it's caustic, if the stuff that they sprayed is caustic, then we will probably have a professional crew come in and clean that up for us. Don't want to have any of you have any reaction to that. So I'll let you know. I can't tell you how it touches my heart to know that so many of you want to be part of this. And I'm sure that almost all of us want to be part of putting our house back in order. And when it is back in order, I will be sending out pictures so that you can see that things are back where they belong. And when we're able to get back in our building, then we'll do a blessing. We'll do a cleansing and we'll do a blessing. For now, we're really lucky that a lot of other things that could have happened didn't. Our computers were left intact. Nothing was done in the sanctuary. The sanctuary is completely fine. We had some kicked in doors and have some damage to floors and things like that I think we're going to be able to put back together pretty quickly. And so being able to be gentle in our hearts around all of this is important. You know, this maybe is a reminder again for us to notice how much we think we're the building. It certainly is that for me, that I feel personally affronted because it's us. And so maybe this is the opportunity for us to step back even more and realize that the building is a gift, and the building is a reflection of the abundance that we share with one another. The building is a place where we can gather, but the building is not the community. The building is only a place. And it's an important opportunity, a very rare opportunity for us to consider this. Most of the time we'll be in that building. Right now, for several weeks, we won't. And this is the time for us to tie our hearts together, person to person, and to realize that the building is only a reflection. It's only an illusion. It's not the community we are. And so if you're struggling, as I have this week, to let go of any feelings that you have about what has happened to us, I invite you to breathe and work on reflecting on that, on releasing that, and on coming to a place where we can be grateful for the place that we have to gather, but not let it mean that any impact has been done for us. Because who we are has not been damaged, only the building itself. So we'll be working to get that taken care of this week. We are continuing to make financial choices and changes as we move through. We've had great help from the bank. We have applied for government subsidies. Derek and Trudy have been working hard on that. We are looking at all the ways that we can move forward in a healthy way. I want to thank all of you. Especially, I want to thank those of you that are in our automatic giving program, because the automatic giving program is really holding the ship afloat right now. And I want to thank all of you that are committed to that. It's allowing us to keep people in place and take care of our responsibilities. Dawn was able to work with the bingo hall, and we no longer, when we first started this, we would have had to pay rent at the bingo hall every week, even though we couldn't use it. And that has changed, so we don't have to do that. So it's tough. Our income has definitely dropped a bit, and I want to honor all of you who have made changes in what you're doing based on what's happening for you. You know, this is happening for all of us, and it's a scary time. And if you have had to make a change in your giving, I want to honor that for you. I want to honor that you're doing what you can do to take care of yourselves. And if you have been able to keep your giving where it is, I want to honor that as well. And thank you. And I want to tell you, however you give it makes a difference. Whether you're giving of your time and you're making phone calls to other people in the community, or maybe you're in the crew of people that's helping deliver groceries and taking care of pharmacy runs and things like that, or you're giving by getting over to Westside Cares and helping keep the food bank going, because I know they're struggling right now. Whether you're giving by being in prayer each day, or whether you're financially able to be of support to the community, whatever it is you're doing, there is a way for you to give and a way for you to contribute, and it's valued here. And Chris will put in the box the donating information. You can give through text to give. You can give through PayPal. You can call Chris and she will take your plastic number on the Unity phone number. You can mail in a check. We're checking the mail at the mailbox once a week. So you can do that. Whatever you would like to do to give is greatly appreciated. And we're going to get through this together, aren't we? We're very lucky that we have done a really good job of stewardship, and our building is in good order, and our finances are in good order. And you can thank your board for that. And you can thank Chris and Trudy and Michelle, your staff, who manage all of those things. You can thank Josh and Jamie, who have worked hard to keep the building well maintained, so we don't have to worry about something being broken or something not working right while we're gone. There are a lot of people that have worked really hard to get us in a good place, and we are in a better place than many communities are. So we have a lot to be thankful for. And I ask you to hold a sense of gratitude around our community, to hold a sense that we are remarkably blessed not only to have each other, but to be where we are in our good work together. We continue to offer comfort circles during the week. And by the way, if you would like to donate, you can do that as soon as service is over. We'll leave the chat box open a little bit so that you can go in and get that information if you need to know how. You can also go right to our website, which is unityrockies.org. unityrockies.org, and you can hit the donate button and that will take you through another process. You have lots of ways to be able to donate. We did ask last week if you guys would go in, if you're loving your community and you're loving what we're up to, if you would go to our Facebook page and write a review. I'm going to ask you to do that again if you have not already done it, because those reviews help keep us at the top of the list. In Google, when people are looking for metaphysical communities and things like that, helps more people to find us at a time that they can't just come to the building itself. So if you are able to do that, I'd really appreciate it. If you are struggling, you have two opportunities. And if you're not struggling and you just want to support each other, you have two opportunities to do that each week. You have an opportunity on Tuesday at noon to gather in a comfort circle with Reverend Julie. And you have an opportunity on Wednesday night at 6 to gather with me as well in a comfort circle. And what we really do in those circles is we take the time to listen to each other. We do a one-to-one check-in. You can always pass and say, I don't have anything, but we are going to give you a chance to let us know, how are you doing? One of the really great things that's coming from that is we're getting to see each other's faces and connect faces and names and learning a little bit about each other's stories, really finding out what's going on in each other's lives. And I don't think we do that nearly as well when we're in the building. So I want to encourage you to participate in the comfort circles. If you are doing well, your presence there and your story of doing well is inspiring and helpful for people who are struggling. And if you are struggling and you're willing to share your story, it helps other people who are struggling to know that they're not struggling alone, and helps us to be able to continue to pray for each other and hold energy. Back behind me here is my Reiki book. I don't know if you can see the pages of names, but there are pages and pages and pages of names of people who have asked to be in this book. This book gets prayed with twice a day. It's a healing book. It's being used for healing of your mind, your body, your heart, your soul, whatever it is that you need. If you are not in my Reiki book and you would like to be, please just leave your name in the chat. You can do that now, and I will be sure and write you in. This book is set on a sacred altar I've set at home, and I have set it up so that Reiki energy is flowing through it 24 hours a day. You are welcome to add your names or the names of anyone that you know who might be having a hard time, anyone that you're praying for or holding close. I ask that if you're having any trouble with this crazy illness, that you please let us know so that we can stay in touch with you and we can pray for you and hold you in our hearts. There's been so much scientific evidence about the power of prayer. And when this community itself prays together, we have an amazing track record. So I want to invite you to let us know what's going on with that, and let us hold you in prayer as we move through. In a moment, we're going to pray our way out, and then we're going to go into breakout rooms. And I'm going to give you a chance, if you don't, at the end of the prayer, if you don't want to be in the breakout room, you'll have an opportunity to leave. But if you want to go into the breakout room, I'm going to ask you to take a question with you today. And you'll have 15 minutes to discuss this question, and then you'll be able to just leave when you're done. You don't have to come back. You can leave directly from the breakout room. I think that's a little different than what we've done before, but I think it's going to work better. So we're going to try that today. And if it doesn't work better, we'll do it better. We'll do it differently next week. We're learning as we go along. So the question to go into the breakout room with today is, what is your relationship with the word surrender? What does that feel like in your heart? What does it mean to you? What are you thinking of if I say to you, surrender into the softness of your own Christ self? What comes up for you around that word surrender? Give some thought to that, and you'll be able to take that into your breakout room. And I'm going to share my screen for just a minute. Share and see if I can get you. For some reason, I cannot get. Can you guys see you up at the top? Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to do it this way. Just look at faces. Faces and names.
We're seeing the quote, Ahriana.
Yeah, but are you seeing the faces at the top?
I can see them when I do. I can see them when I click on.
Oh, but you're not seeing. I think this.
Participate.
Yeah, I think the reason that we're having this problem is because I locked down security so strong, and actually Chris is the primary host on this so that she can handle everybody's names. And I think Chris, you and I might have to switch roles next week for me to be able to use the share screen the way I want to use it. Okay, well, it is what it is, and there's not much more we can do about that. It's still a blessing. I have pages and pages of all of your beautiful faces in front of me, and I'm so grateful to see all of you and so grateful for this time with you. And as we pray out, I ask you to remember how important it is that we have each other at a time like this, and to just spend some time in reflection today. Let's go ahead. Deb, I see your message that you can see the scroll, so I'll let you guys scroll for yourselves, and thank you all for being here. And let's pray our way out, and then we'll go into breakout rooms. Divine Spirit, we're grateful for this day, for this time together, for this beautiful, beloved community, for the connections between each heart, for the place of softening that lies before us. This is the week that we really are challenged to understand that love is more powerful than might. And so we step more deeply into love together, knowing that our hearts are open, that our minds are clear, and that the strength of this community helps to guide us on this path. We're grateful for that place we normally gather. We're grateful that it is a place that we can gather. Our gratitude grows as we come to deeper appreciation of each other as the place to gather. That we gather in each other's hearts and each other's minds and through each other's spirits, through our oneness with one another.
We're grateful for all the hands and hearts that work together to create this time. And we're grateful for the gifts that Connie brings that inspire our soul. We're just grateful, grateful for all of it. And so it is. Look at each other's eyes. Let the light within you shine. We are all connected. Look into another's eyes. See